Jehovah's Witnesses and the United Nations. How the Watchtower Society Fooled Millions. Chapter 12, entitled Closing Comments. So we've come to the last and final chapter of this wonderful and glorious book. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. So this chapter starts off with these comments that the Watchtower Society claims about themselves. Notice what these articles have to say. So this article was taken from the September Awake of 2006 on page 3. The article is entitled, Whom Should You Believe? And follow along with a black highlight. Jehovah's Witnesses are politically neutral. They respect the right of governments to make and enforce laws. However, they take seriously Jesus' command that they are no part of the world. In their public ministry, they offer people the chance to learn the benefits of living by God's standards. But they do not violate their Christian neutrality by supporting the efforts of fundamentalist groups that try to establish civil laws that would force others to adopt Bible standards. Now, that's just all kind of wrong there. We know that Jehovah's Witnesses themselves, the individual rank and file members, are politically neutral. But when it comes to the organization, it is not. And we have seen that throughout this book. They do respect the rights of governments to make and enforce laws, but only when that's convenient. And that last sentence where it says that they don't violate their Christian neutrality by supporting the efforts of fundamentalist groups that try to establish civil laws that force others to adopt Bible standards. That's just so... I can't even begin to describe the way I feel toward that sentence there. Isn't the Jehovah's Witness religion, don't they try to force others to adopt Bible standards? Because if you don't, well, you're going to get kicked out. You're going to get disfellowshipped. And I seem to recall at the Australian Royal Commission, governing body member Jeffrey Jackson pleading with the Australian Commission there, that if they just made laws mandating child abuse be reported to authorities, it would make things so much easier for them. Well, I thought that they weren't supporting these groups that try to establish laws that would force others to adopt Bible standards. Oh, I need to move on. My blood pressure is getting high on this one. So this next article is taken from the February 15th, 1993 Watchtower. The article is entitled Rooting Out Pollution from Heart and Mind, and follow along in the black highlight. Today, environmental matters can easily become political issues. In fact, some political parties have been formed specifically for the purpose of solving environmental problems. A Christian who lets himself be polarized along the lines is no longer politically neutral. Jesus laid down the law for his disciples, the principle, they are no part of the world just as I am no part of the world. A Christian who disregards that requirement runs the danger of becoming aligned with rulers of this system of things, who are to come to nothing. So, just because political parties get involved with these environmental problems, well, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to stay out of environmental problems altogether. That doesn't make sense, and that's infuriating because they do nothing to help anyone except for themselves. And just because Jesus said they are no part of the world, just as I am no part of the world, it says that a Christian who disregards that requirement runs the danger of becoming an enemy of God. Well, that doesn't sound like a requirement. They are no part of the world just as I am no part of the world. See, Watchtower twist scriptures and they add meaning that isn't there. So every year Jehovah's Witnesses are disfellowshipped because they uncover the truth about the truth, especially about this matter, the United Nations. And when this happens, it breaks families apart, it breaks friendships apart, and some people even lose their jobs because they're employed by a Jehovah's Witness. And when you get disfellowshipped, well, they give you the boot there as well. So even after all this time, since 2001, when they disassociated themselves, that is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, remember they still have other legal corporations that are involved in other aspects of the UN. They have failed to apologize to all the members who have been hurt or shunned from uncovering this affair with the United Nations. Watchtower still has failed to be honest about what really happened. And really, I think an apology or even a formal letter to the congregations be read that, yes, we were involved, that would have alleviated so much things, because I think a lot of people would have a lot more leeway with the Watchtower. They would have forgiven them a lot easier had they just came out and been honest. Yes, we were a part of the United Nations as an NGO. We did it for such and such reasons. Then Watchtower members would have just taken that and ate it up and not even really done any research on the matter, whether they really were telling the truth. But no, they have to find out on their own. And so this causes so much research to be done by those who leave, and then they see for themselves that Watchtower is in fact being hypocritical and lying. And this comes from an organization that demands honesty and truth from its members. As a matter of fact, isn't that what they call their religion? The truth? But I know many of you who are listening know that this religion is the furthest thing from the truth. Notice what these articles have to say about the Watchtower Society. This article is taken from the June 1st, 2000 Watchtower, from the article entitled Changing the Face of Christianity Acceptable to God. Notice what the black highlight has to say. Jesus taught that his rulership or kingdom is a heavenly one that would, in due time, destroy all human rulerships and rule over the entire earth. It would not rule through human political systems. My kingdom is no part of the world, Jesus said. Thus, Jesus' disciples, while law-abiding, stayed out of politics. So, again, the rank and file do stay out of politics because that's what they are commanded. But when it comes to the organization itself, we've seen time and again, they have not stayed politically neutral. This next article is taken from the March 1st, 2003 Watchtower, from the article Trust in Jehovah with All Your Heart. And notice what the black highlight says. The prophet Isaiah found fault with the national leaders of Israel in his day because they trusted in a refuge of a lie. In their quest for security, they made political alliances with neighboring nations. Such alliances were trustworthy, a lie. In a similar way, today, many religious leaders cultivate relationships with political leaders. Those alliances, too, will prove to be a lie. They will not bring lasting security. So, the Watchtower's alliance with the United Nations will also prove to be a lie, and it will not bring anything lasting, because what is this scarlet-colored wild beast supposed to do, according to the Jehovah's Witnesses and their interpretation of the Revelation book in the Bible? Well, this beast, signified by the UN, is supposed to turn their back on religion and eliminate all of religion, but they will not be able to eliminate Jehovah's Witnesses. So they are trusting and putting their alliances with an organization that in the future, according to Jehovah's Witnesses, is going to destroy all religion and try to destroy them as well. Why would you even want to put your trust in a religion that you know in the near future, according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, of course, in the near future, that is going to destroy you, or at least try to destroy you? That's kind of hypocritical in my eyes, but I don't know. This next article is taken from the January 15th, 1991 Watchtower, from the article, "The Pure Language Unites a Great Crowd of Worshippers," and follow along in the black highlight. The talk that followed, entitled "Their Refuge a Lie," contained the stern warning. Just as ancient Judas trusting in Egypt proved to be a vain refuge, so will be Christendom's alliance with political powers of our day. So again, we have the Watchtower Society here pointing the finger at Christendom for their alliance with political powers, but yet Watchtower can't look in the mirror and realize that they're doing the same thing. So, I don't know. That just seems pretty hypocritical to me. And they are just like they are saying about Christendom. They're putting their trust in today's political influences, being a NGO member of the UN and participating in these conferences and so forth. But yet, they can't look at themselves in the mirror. This article is taken from the June 1st, 1991 Watchtower, from the article, "Their Refuge a Lie." Notice what paragraph 8 in the black highlight has to say. Is there a parallel situation today? Yes, there is. The clergy of Christendom also feel that no calamity will overtake them. In effect, they say, as Isaiah foretold, "We have concluded a covenant with death, and with Sheol we have effected a vision. The overflowing flash flood, in case it should pass through, will not come to us, for we have made a lie our refuge, and in falsehood we have concealed ourselves." Like ancient Jerusalem, Christendom looks to worldly alliances for security, and her clergy refuse to take refuge in Jehovah. Why? They do not even use his name, and they mock and persecute those who honor that name. Christendom's clergy have done just what the Jewish chief priests in the first century did when they rejected Jesus. They have said, in effect, "We have no king but Caesar." So again, Watchtower pointing the finger at Christendom because they supposedly put their alliances in political nations, political governments, and so on and so forth, and they don't realize that they're doing the same thing themselves behind the scenes. It even says that Christendom mocks and persecutes Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't recall Christendom persecuting or mocking the witnesses. I know they expose them for hypocrisies and all these other things that the witnesses do, but they're just pointing the truth out. And Christendom does look to Jesus Christ. They don't reject him. The Jehovah's Witnesses are the ones that reject him every year during the memorial. So, again, the witnesses are just being hyper hypocritical, in my opinion. And lastly, this article is taken from the September 1st, 1987 Watchtower, under the article Trust in Jehovah, Not in a Conspiracy, notice what the black highlight has to say. The present-day anti-typical Cyrus the Great began to reign in 1914 at the end of the appointed times of the nations, as foretold by Jesus himself at Luke 21, verse 24. In total disregard of this world-important fact, the nations inside the United Nations settled upon the year 1986 as their International Year of Peace. But Jehovah's Witnesses are by no means caught off guard in this connection. When the foretold proclamation of peace and security is finally made, they will not join political adherents and friendly associates of Babylon the Great in the feasting over such a phenomenal feat as this late day in the history of the worldly nations. They advocate no conspiracy with the United Nations and other peace media. As a countermeasure, they say in the words of Isaiah 8, verse 20, "To the law and to the testimony, if they do not speak according to this word, they have no light of dawn." And giving the reason for their immovable position, they say, "For God is with us." Bluntly, that means that Jehovah God is taking no part in the political measures adopted by the nations in behalf of peace and security, but rather Jehovah is unequivocally against them. So if Jehovah is unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, against organizations such as the United Nations, whose main goal and charter is to bring peace and security to the world, why would a Jehovah's Witness organization that's led by His Holy Spirit join forces with them as an NGO partner? So as you can see, the Watchtower Society is being very hypocritical and disloyal with their membership as an NGO to the United Nations. And we say it's very hypocritical because they can do these things behind the scenes and not happen, nothing, no consequences, no repercussions, nothing at all. They can come away unscathed with their alliance with the UN. But if a regular rank and file Jehovah's Witness member decorates his front porch or house with a national flag, he would be disfellowshipped in the snap of a finger. So this isn't fair. This isn't honest to the Jehovah's Witnesses. And in conclusion of this book, I'm going to read the last two paragraphs. Because the Watchtower Society tries so hard to hide the truth about this affair, it is important for the truth to be outed. Jehovah's Witness members who have been shunned for the truth and suffered broken families and friendships, and in cases even lost some employment, these ones need to be exonerated. It is my hope that the information contained in this book helps the many who have been seriously hurt and betrayed by the Watchtower Society and its officials. So this is going to bring an end to this book. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned a few things. I certainly did. I did a lot of research on my own before I even stumbled across this information. A lot of the facts I verified for myself. And so I hope you will buy this book. It's a very short book, but it contains a lot of powerful information. And it proves without a doubt that the Watchtower Society has indeed fooled millions of Jehovah's Witnesses with their alliance with the United Nations. So thank you for listening. Thank you for taking time to listen to my summary of Jehovah's Witnesses and the United Nations. How the Watchtower Society fooled millions. Post your comments, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next book.